Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another battle to the death for you. Today we have the Ritter RSK Mk1-G2 versus the Benchmade Freek 560BK-1, otherwise affectionately known as the Super Freak. Explain why when we get to that. This is a comparison you guys have been clamoring for, and I've really tried to get it done as soon as I could. I've only had the Super Freak for a few days, but I carried it every single day and used it to make sure I could get this done as quickly as possible. I have a full long review of this probably next week, probably more like the week after, when I've really spent even more time with it. And I get why you guys wanted this review so bad. These are two knives that are very similar for some kind of odd circumstances. I'm not going to pretend to know everything about it. All I know is that Doug Ritter used to design a version of the Benchmade Griptilian. Benchmade produced those. That relationship dissolved, and kind of unexpectedly in 2016, I guess. And after the year and a half or so, it popped back up with this version made by Hogue Knives. It's the same blade shape as his old Griptilian was. Obviously, the handle looks very similar to a Griptilian, and there is no longer a patent on the axis lock, so they're allowed to use it. And Hogue has made some significant changes to it, which we'll get to when we get to that section. But they call it the Able lock. It is a bit different than the axis lock, but it's still generically the same. And they started building this. About that same time that the Ritter thing dissolved, Benchmade came out with the Freek, the basic version, and you got to admit the blade shape is pretty similar. So I don't know what went on there. I don't know if there's some kind of handshake agreement or whatever, but nobody's suing anybody, and nobody seems super pissed off about it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I haven't spoken to either of them about it, so Benchmade or Doug Ritter or Hogue, so I don't really know. But let's get on to the actual scoring of which one of these is the best, all drama aside. We have 7 categories, as always. Each one who wins gets a point, and then at the end we add up the scores and somebody wins. We have design and aesthetics, the quality, the blade, the ergonomics, the carry, the deployment, and the value. At the end, we're going to pick a winner. Now, we're going to talk about each one of these knives individually, give a very brief summary, some stats, and then we're going to move on to setting some scores. So we'll start out with the Ritter. As I said, this is made by Hogue Knives in the United States of America. Pretty cool design, nice milled G10, M390 steel, which is pretty impressive. Deep carry pocket clip, really nice T8 hardware, deep set T8 hardware too for almost everything except the pivot, which is a T10. Very nicely done on all the studs. They look really nice. It's just a really nice looking, well finished knife. Open construction. Price on these is about $153 when you can get them. This is a thing where it is a dealer exclusive to KnifeWorks. I mean, it's not a sprint run. It doesn't mean like they're come and gone. And KnifeWorks usually, if they keep up their usual trend with their exclusive Benchmades and stuff, they usually keep ordering them for a significant amount of time. So this isn't, you might not be able to get one right now, but you'll probably be able to get one in the future. I got mine super early. I don't know how. I actually bought it secondhand from LTK, so he got it even earlier than that. I do know that just today, coincidentally, I had 2 different people on Instagram message me and say they got theirs in the mail today. So apparently they are trickling out, and I assume shortly they'll be more widely available. Let's do some stats. We have an overall length of 8.15 inches, blade length of 3.45 inches, blade thickness of just a hair over 0.11 inches, and a handle thickness of 0.62 inches with a weight of 4.5 ounces. Now we're going to set that one aside, and let's bring out the Super Freak. So what makes this the Super Freak? Well, the original Freak is, I think they're like 130, something like that. I don't really know. It's not really that relevant to this, but comes out, it has S30V steel and a very controversial handle material. It's kind of a grippy, rubbery thing with G10 inserts, and it's a love it or hate it thing, as the British would say. It's very Marmite, and I I do not like it. I never did. I picked up a Freek once at a store and I was like, nope, I don't really care for that. It's just a tactile thing. I just don't like it. Some people do, but I really hate it. They came out with this version, which is G10. This multi-layer, really pretty G10 with these red accents and all this stuff. And this is not the stock pocket clip. We'll talk about that more later. But it had lots of really cool stuff on it. And they made a very surprising steel choice. I expected it. I heard rumors of this coming out. I expected it to be 20 CV because that's usually what they do. Like the Griptilian, they come out with the G10 and 20 CV. I expected they were just going to do the same thing with the Freek, but no. They went with M4, which is really cool. That's it's a genuine super steel. It is not stainless, so they chose to coat the blade. It's a Cerakote, black Cerakote blade. Not super excited about that. But, you know, it does prevent it from corroding because M4 is not stainless. It is an awesome steel. Will hold an edge for a freaking eternity. But it's not stainless, and so they coated it. I wish they didn't do that, but I guess I can kind of understand the reasoning. But it does look good. And I've had one other Benchmade coated blade, and it held up okay. And I have heard from multiple owners of this that this Cerakote is actually, they've improved it and it is actually better than previous Benchmade ones, that it actually holds up really, really well. So, and I have not been nice to this. I've only been carrying it for a week, but I've not been nice to it. It has cut a lot of cardboard and stuff, and there's not a mark on it. Not one anywhere. So I haven't hit any staples or like scratched on metal or anything, but just cutting cardboard and all that kind of stuff. I did clean it before I started this, but yeah, there's not a mark on it. So very cool. I do like this treatment. As someone else said, please do it to the bug out. Now, let's get into the storing categories. Or let's go. I'm sorry, I almost skipped a spot. Got to do your specs here first. Jeez, Brian, you don't know how many takes this video I've done, so I'm not going to go back and edit that. I'm going to leave my air in like a man, and we're just going to plow on. Overall length, 8.45 inches. Blade length of 3.6 inches. So in both dimensions, slightly larger than the Ritter. Blade thickness, again, just a hair over 0.11 inches. You have a handle thickness, again, 0.62 inches, and just a bit lighter at 4.3 ounces. I mean, just a bit, what, 0.2 ounces. You're not going to notice that. All right, now let's move on to some scoring categories. Now this is where the metal meets the rubber meets the road. That's the thing I'm looking for. Design and aesthetics. Yeah, a lot of these categories are close, and this one was too. I really wish this was not a coated blade. I know how to take care of M4. I don't like it when companies nanny state us, and when you have a non-stainless blade, they coat it so that it doesn't corrode. I know CRKT did with the large Pilar recently too, and it upset me also. I can take care of it. I know what I'm doing. Keep it some oil on it, or Aegis EDCI, something like that, and it's fine. But they chose to coat it. I don't like that. I would like it more if it was you know, more like this. This is kind of a polished stonewash. That would be great. That said, it does fit very well with the overall aesthetic of the knife. And once I had it in hand, I was less upset about it. It does look kind of cool. Apparently the guy who did this was a Deadpool fan, and I'm a big Deadpool fan too, but that's why it's got the little red accents, and the handles look amazing. The handles just look so cool, and the red isn't like a bright neon Sithy kind of red. It is more of kind of a wine color Deadpool kind of red, and I'm all right with that. In the stock clip, we'll talk more about the stock clip later, but the stock clip I think even does look, it's that, you know, weird finish that they do on some of their clips. It looks cool with it. This is more shiny. I kind of almost wish that this deep carry clip was more that finish. I think it looks great. The Doug Ritter also looks great. I like this kind of polished stonewash finish. The shape of it, if you like the look of a Griptilian, you're probably going to like the overall look of this. The only thing, I'm not mad about this starbursty kind of pattern in the G10. Yeah, even though I don't like that the blade's coated, I'm still going to give the win to the Super Freek. Barely on design and aesthetic. I think I'm just going to give it to the Super Freek. I just think it's a cooler looking design. Unless you really, really hate the coated blade, then go with the Ritter. Quality. This one was definitely the toughest because overall, they're both very good quality. Both made in the USA, and both of them, the examples I got were pretty good quality, but each one has a problem. And I tried to decide which was worse. So on the Benchmade, most people complain about the blade centering on Benchmades. This one was perfectly fine, and I've been really lucky with that. I don't think I've ever had a Benchmade that actually came to me, other than one loaner, with an off-center blade. But it does have one quality issue. It's sticky, and I can't make it go away. And I tried, and I think it's because as you can see, the lock bar here is also coated, and I think it's just going to take a long time to wear through that coating before that goes away. It will probably go away someday, but right now, I'm not doing good with deployments today, am I? Right now, it's sticky, and that's annoying. The Hogue overall has a kind of unquantifiable feeling of solidness that I can't really explain. It just does feel like, this feels pretty solid, don't get me wrong, but this does just feel a bit more solid. But it also has an issue. I mean, the blade centering's off. Not by much. It's not touching anything. It's completely fine. But the blade centering is off. And I told you, 2 guys on Instagram messaged me and said that they got theirs today. One guy had a perfectly centered blade. Other one was off, about almost exactly the same as this one. So I have to go by the 2 examples I have in hand, and they both have a flaw which I think is equally annoying, meaning that they're both kind of minor annoyances. Gotta go tie. I almost want to give the win because the hardware on the Hogue is better. But to me, the blade centering's more of an issue than the lock stick because that's going to wear out. So, yeah, I just have to call it a tie. I couldn't really decide. Quality-wise, tie. Blade, also very close. I love M4. I have as you guys know, one of my favorite knives is the Spyderco Gale Bradley 2. It's M4 steel, uncoated, by the way. Spyderco doesn't coat the M4. And sometimes they do, but they don't do it all the time. They don't make you get it. And I love M4. Holds an edge forever. It is a steel that takes a long time to sharpen, but it's not difficult. It's just one that if you have diamond stones, you just got to have some patience, and it comes out really well. It's not chippy, anything like that. There's no giant surprises in it. It's a reason why they use it for all the chopping contests and cutting contests and all that stuff. It's just, it is a really great steel, and very excited about that. But also, another great steel, M390. They both have almost identical blade shapes, both very high, flat, saber-ish grinds. They both almost exactly the same blade stock. But, you know, M390 is also, M390 is probably marginally fast. I'm not going to say it's easier to sharpen. It's faster to sharpen than M4, if that makes any sense. But this is significant. The Ritter is significantly thinner behind the edge. I measured this one like 18 to 20 thousandths. The Super Freek was 24 to 25, and just gliding through cardboard and stuff, I found this to cut better. And the stock edge is just a lot nicer on the Hogue. You've got a damn near mirror polished edge, which is really nice. The Benchmade has the usual Benchmade kind of toothy finish, which is fine for work, but it's not as nice and not as sleek and slick as what you're getting on the Hogue. All Hogue knives have that edge, and it's really nice. So I got to give the blade, based primarily on the thickness behind the edge, to the Ritter. Ergonomics. That's just going to be the Benchmade. I did not expect that because I really like the ergonomics on the Hogue. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing. It fits my hands super well. if you have a full-size grip tilling. This is a bit different. It's a bit bigger handle, especially back through here. So don't expect it to feel exactly like a grip tilling, because it's not going to, but it's close enough, and it's nice and grippy. If you're going to hardcore work, if you're really going to take a knife out and really beat on it, this may be better, because it's a very grippy handle. And the jimping there's a bit more aggressive jimping and stuff like that. But I have to give the win to the Super Freek, because it's still plenty grippy enough. You do have all this milling up here, but there just aren't as many sharpish, like this mill G10, and it doesn't feel sharp, but like, you know, it feels like aggressive jimping. Where this is, or I mean aggressive milling, where this doesn't. I just think I find this slightly more comfortable. I find the jimping slightly more comfortable. It just fits in. It fits in my, as far as fit in the hand, they're equal. But this just feels a bit, oh, for lack of a better word, softer, I guess. But as I said, if you're going for hardcore stuff, you know, the Ritter's probably better. But I think for the average EDC user, and that's kind of what we're aiming towards here, I'd go Ergonomics towards the Super Freek. It just feels a bit nicer. Carry, yet another complicated one. So, as I said, on the Super Freek, this is not the stock clip, but it's free. So I'm not going to knock it for that. All you got to do is call Benchmade and say, hey, can I get a deep carry pocket clip? Yes. And they send you one. They drop one in the mail. In a week or two, you got another one. And that's really great of them. But the stock clip is this. I'm not going to say the juvenile name that people call it, but it looks like something. The split arrow clip is, I think, the nice way to put it. The Hogue does come with a deep carry pocket clip. So, and I like deep carry. And they're both the same thickness, almost exactly the same weight. You think, okay, easy win. Hogue wins because it comes stock with a nice deep carry pocket clip. No, not quite. As you can see, the Hogue makes one mistake that I don't like, that a lot of knife companies make. The roughest part of the G10 is right under the landing of the pocket clip. So it's not a pocket destroyer, but it ain't far from it. It definitely, there is some, you know, when it comes in and out of your pocket, you got to keep that in mind. If you buy one of these and you want to loosen up the pocket, if you have thicker pants, you can loosen up the pocket clip tension. It's just a bent clip. It's no problem to loosen it up, but it is a bit rough. Where if you call Benchmade and wait a week and get this deep carry clip, it slides in and out of the pocket like a dream and stays in there very, very well. And it is a joy to carry. As far as getting your hand past them also, once they're in your pocket, this is much smoother. You do have just that little bit there, but you don't really catch it. They actually did a really good job making sure that they put just enough jimping that it stops at just the right spot, so it doesn't really catch. But it's a little taller in the pocket. I don't know. They're pretty even as far as getting your hand past them. I think maybe this is like 3% better, but not a big deal. But this one might tear up your pants a little bit if you don't loosen the clip back. This one you got to call and ask for the good pocket clip for it, but it doesn't cost you anything. Or I think there's an online form, whatever. It's a tie. It's a tie. I don't know. They both carry really well. And if you get that deep carry clip, who knows? Deployment. Again, another complicated one. And I was tempted to call this a tie, but I'm going to pick one because I know which one I like better. But you might not agree with me on this. It would not have affected the outcome, really. So let's get to it. Super Freek. Typical Benchmade access drop. This drops. Complete free dropper. I've done nothing to this at all. Just carried it for 4 or 5 days. But as you can see, sometimes it bounces. It almost always bounces off. Yeah, it bounces off. I don't like how it bounces off the stops. That's always something that bothered me. A little bit less on this because the blade's heavier, but especially like on my 940 or my what was the Saibu I had that would bounce off all the time. And it has the the Omega springs in it that people complain about. They do use different springs on the Hogue. They do seem a bit stronger, and it's no more difficult to pull back the lock bar, but it doesn't quite. It's a free dropper, but it's not as completely openly 100% free as the Benchmade, and I like that. I think that's an improvement, because I like being able to, when you time it right, you can just catch it and it doesn't bounce off. I really like that. It does take a bit more to get used to, but it doesn't bounce off nearly as much, and I just like the feel of it. I like the stronger springs. I like the feel of these thumb studs better than the Benchmade ones. Especially the lock bar, but the thumb stud also. I think the thumb stud is much more comfortable to use. It just depends on which one you want. If you want a complete free dropper, get the Benchmade. This one, I'm sure you could make it a free dropper if I played with it more, but I like it more kind of in the way that it is. I like a little bit of resistance in the drop. I'm going to choose the Hogue, but I could see why you would choose otherwise. Value. The final category. $192 for the Benchmade, which honestly, for Benchmade with M4 and G10 over top of the original Freek, that's not a bad increase for Benchmade, but it's not a bad increase for Benchmade. The Ritter M390, no matter what this thing was, you're getting M390 and a fancy pants lock system for $152. It's an awesome value. What else can you say? It made in the USA. You're not going to find many knives like that. The value-wise, I gotta go with the Ritter. Absolutely. Caveat to that is this is going to be much more available. These are sold out right now also, but it's just because they're new. This will be a Benchmade production one that they'll have in stock everywhere all the time. It's going to be easy to get your hands on. This is going to cost you less, but you kind of got to wait and be patient. My final conclusion is it is a 3-2 with 2 ties winner for the Ritter. But if you are impatient and you get the Super Freek instead because it's available at the time that you're looking and these aren't, I don't think you're going to be horribly disappointed. I'm going to keep both of them. I have no plans on selling either one of them. I really like them both, even though they're extremely similar. I just really like the looks of this a lot, and I like the ergonomics of it. This, I really love the blade, and I love the action on it more. But as far as stats go, definitely, it's a win to the Doug Ritter Hogue RSK Mk1-G2 Knife Works exclusive. I've probably just screwed all that up. It's such a long name. It's impossible to say. I feel like I'm in Lawrence of Arabia trying to read that name. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have found it informative. And I worked my butt off getting this review done, so nobody give it a thumbs down, or I'll come and find where you live. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.